a firm favourite of mine up for you next. This beautiful rose is the Lark Ascending. Bred and introduced by David Austin Roses in 2012. This is one of their best for flowering and best for health roses. It is an absolute corker. This plant behind me is actually a group of 2 plants planted together and is the most extraordinary plant in the garden. Reaching heights of up to 6 feet, it sends up massive canes and leaders reaching skywards towards the end of the summer. You can see it here flowering at the height I pruned it to last year. It's on rising ground, which is giving you a slightly different perspective of its actual size. But pruned to around 4 feet last year, it's now at around 5 feet, bearing these beautiful semi-double apricot blooms. The nicest thing about this particular rose is not only the sheer volume of flowers that it produces, but one of its nicest characteristics is towards the back end of the season, as we enter July, August and September, the canes really start to reach skywards, reaching their full potential. Up to around 6 feet, they catch the evening light absolutely beautifully. I've got it planted here on a west facing aspect where it really does catch the evening sunset, and the colour coming through the petals at that time of the evening is absolutely glorious. The rose is incredibly vigorous, incredibly healthy, and suffers with absolutely no problems whatsoever. The flower, as I say, is semi-double, apricot and fairly deeply cupped. If you're interested in planting a rose that's good for pollinators, you're looking for a bloom shape much like this where the petals aren't particularly heavy. There are probably a couple of dozen petals here, but not into the hundreds. That means a pollinator such as a bee or a hoverfly can actually get into the flower and work and get something from it. The Lark Ascending is a really good all-round shrub. Nice for the back of a border or for a statement piece. It's not suitable for putting in a pot, but it is suitable, for instance, along with the Queen of Sweden, for creating informal hedges, because it's quite a tall shrub, I say reaching in excess of 5.5 to 6 feet here. It's great for an informal hedge. It's fairly upright. It stands up to the wind and the rain very well. But the Lark Ascending is a really lovely plant, enjoying great health, flowering in absolute abundance from the beginning of June all the way through to the back end of September and sometimes into early October. Another really nice point to note about this particular flower is if you stop deadheading towards the back end of the season, somewhere in the region of around August. Now, if you stop before that, don't forget the hormone levels of any rose will drop and they will start to decide to stop flowering. So the point of deadheading regularly is to keep those hormone levels surging. So as soon as any bloom on any rose plant generally fails and the petals start to drop, you want to start thinking about removing that flower to enable it to continue to bloom. However, with the Lark Ascending, if you stop removing the flowers towards the back end of the season, it is one of the few roses David Austin produced that actually will produce quite lovely hips. They don't last all that long, but they are a nice interesting point into the garden into October, November and the beginning of December before they're ravaged by the birds. But the Lark Ascending, a big, bold, blousy, beautiful girl. No scent, but a lovely open formation to the flower, a beautiful soft apricot colour, producing hips, enjoying amazing health, flowers hugely in abundance. And I say, plant it in your garden and look at it in the early evening as the sun sets and see how she looks in that evening sunlight.